But the game itself is a little expensive.
Okay.
Now with tariffs, we don't know if the tariffs are affecting this console right now. We do know that in 2019, Nintendo moved production of the console out of China to Vietnam to avoid the tariff war. But as we know today, Vietnam was just hit with tariffs. So we have no idea how that's going to work or anything. That you would hope that Nintendo might have planned that into the release of the system. But we'll see from there.
This is the time known as the Great Pirate Era.
All right, I'm gonna be real with you. I think Nintendo fanboys are putting PlayStation fanboys to shame. Never before in my life, well, that's a lie. I've seen it many times, but never before in my life have I seen it to this degree. I've never seen a group of gamers rush to the defense of a multi-billion-dollar corporation the way I'm seeing Nintendo fanboys do it.
If only there was some company who actually cared about the user experience for its customers. If only there was a company that actually cared about transparency and honesty and accountability. Oh, what's that? Oh, Nintendo.
Look, I like Nintendo games. I mean, most people in the world do, but I don't know if I like them so much that I'm willing to allow Nintendo to permanently change the industry for the worse just to get my Mario number 1000th or my Zelda number 2000. But that's how it is with Nintendo, guys. They formed a parasocial relationship with the corporation. These guys open their hearts to Nintendo, and all Nintendo says is, yeah, that's nice. Cough up the money, you 6-letter F word. Because every single time I've seen Nintendo screw consumers over, there's only one group of gamers at their defense, and it's the dudes wearing the Mario Odyssey hat as grown-ass adults. I'm just glad that solely exists on the internet, because if I saw that in real life, I may commit a felony. As we discussed in the previous video, Nintendo is on a warpath right now. A warpath to your wallet, and they don't care how many principles they gotta throw out the window to get it. One way or another, you're gonna cough up that money, and next generation, they'll figure out how to make you cough up even more because, well, you surrender too easily. I'm sorry, Nintendo games are not good enough to justify a single thing Nintendo has pulled off. Just think for a second, all right? There is a button on the Switch 2 that is locked behind a paywall, a button you can't use unless you subscribe to Nintendo's online services. On top of the $90 games that are going to exist, or the $80 for digital, or the cartridges that don't have a full game on it, but they will sell it to you at full price. There's lots to criticize here. Likewise, there is a lot to look forward to, sure, but in turn, I just don't understand why Nintendo must be protected. So I bring to you Nintendo bootlickers. The ones who are destroying Nintendo are the ones that enable these anti-consumer practices. And the tweet I'm about to start this video off with is just insane. Let's take a look. Tails Guy on Twitter posts in response to GameStop's announcement about Nintendo pre-orders being delayed in the United States due to tariffs with this image. And I think for those of you who remember that the president was nearly assassinated last year and his life was saved just by tilting his head, yeah, you get this reference. But right here we see that if the bullet hit, the Switch would have been $400, but because the bullet missed, the Switch is $660.
That was so gay.
You gotta be kidding me. What is wrong with you? What in the hell is wrong with you? Are we seriously now suggesting that if the president was game overed, Nintendo would have charged normal healthy prices? Yeah, I don't think so. The delusion of these guys is insane. We now have them wishing DEATH on the president of the United States. Yes, of course, this is all Trump's fault. I'm sure Trump is the reason Nintendo is raising prices on you. No, absolutely not. This is ridiculous. If anything, the prices that we got for the Switch were pre-tariffs. That's right. That's the price Nintendo was gonna charge you before considering tariffs. Now that they're considering tariffs, they might even raise the price more. The console was not gonna launch at $400 if the president didn't make it. They were always gonna charge you $450, up to $550 in other regions, and they're always gonna charge you $80 to $90 a game. No, but of course, it's the Orange Man's fault that Nintendo as a company who has continuously screwed you over and never dropped the prices on their games, who has a pattern of doing this, it's not their fault. No, of course not. Nintendo loves you. They would never do this to you. They've never done it before.
You have a right to be mad at
Tariffs.
but don't be mad at
Nintendo. Nintendo.
loves you.
Let me let you in on a little secret, okay? The Orange Man is not the reason we have a $700 PS5 with no disc drive. The Orange Man is not the reason digital games are priced the same as physical. The Orange Man is not the reason that the voice chat button built into the Switch is locked behind a paywall. You can't continue to blame everything on the Orange Man. If anything, Nintendo should be taking action and actually charging you less in order to adjust for tariffs. But that's the price they were gonna give you before, and you were okay with it? Like, are these people stupid? Do they not realize that you were going to be price gouged no matter what? Jesus Christ, 263,000 likes. Look at how desperate they are to pin the blame on anyone and anything other than Nintendo. Somehow Nintendo is the only one in the room who isn't the bad guy, even though they're the ones raising prices on you. I mean, what do you expect? Nintendo guys are like the Disney fanboys of the gaming world. They've got more pronouns than common sense. These guys would sooner blame their dead mother than ever blame Nintendo for anything. Because the real issue here is not even the console's price. The real issue is the pricing of Nintendo's games, which is all entirely up to them. But somewhere out there, some grown-ass 40-year-old adult actually thinks Mario Kart is worth $90. Sad. Because let me tell you one thing, the Orange Man is not the reason the Switch 2 costs $700 in Norway and Mario Kart alone is $102 there. All right, if you want to blame the Orange Man on that, you're gonna have to explain to me whose fault it is there. It's absolute bonkers how one man is just absolutely wrecking everything, even Nintendo and its customers. Although there is a certain irony to how the keep politics out of my games people are now being forced to deal with it thanks to their own actions.
Emotional damage.
What? What kind of Nintendo revisionism is this? Do you understand the company that you've been actively supporting basically your whole life? How do you not know Nintendo at this point? Never blamed on Nintendo, ever! What do they provide you that's so good you never want to apply basic logic? They're really blaming the Orange Man and saying it's all his fault. He's the one ruining Nintendo when no! It's bootlickers like you that have ruined Nintendo. You're the ones who have consistently enabled Nintendo to raise prices on gaming and never lower them, not even have one sale. You're the reason why Breath of the Wild will be more expensive to play this gen than it was on the console it originally came out on, which was the Wii U, or how Skyward Sword costs more to play on the Switch than it did on the Wii. That's you, that's your fault. You're the ones who told Nintendo you're okay with it when you put your money down. The only correct thing you said here was people are now being forced to deal with it thanks to their own actions. You are correct. But those actions didn't come from voting for the Orange Man. It came from supporting Nintendo for so long, a company you should have let sink years ago in order to get them to start charging you fair prices. But you don't want fair prices. You just want your new Super Mario Bros. Edition 1000 for the billionth time. And you don't care if it's more expensive than every other version that ever came out before. My God, Nintendo guys need to be studied in a lab. They really do. Donald Trump just targeted gamers. He targeted gamers. Maybe he thinks we gamers, the most oppressed people on the planet, would just sit back and take it. But this is personal. I now have to pay more to play my video games. He betrayed us. Gamers rise up.
That was so gay.
Oh my God, I really don't want to come across as a hardcore Trump defender, okay? I don't even want to talk about the Orange Man in this video, but he's just such a huge part of the discussion because these guys refuse to blame Nintendo. They're so focused on the US delays that they're completely ignoring the price of the system in other countries. Nintendo is a Japanese company that prioritizes Japanese consumers and gives them a better price, and then they screw you over and you figure out a way to turn it on the Orange Man. These guys only want one person to blame instead of realizing that it takes two to tango. I'm sorry, but when you don't factor in Nintendo's decisions, you are bootlicking them and trying to damage control. It's far easier to blame one person than it is to hold everyone in the same room accountable. And mind you, I'm not a fan of tariffs. I've already said that previous video. But when a company really wants to compete, they will figure out a way to adjust and give the consumers better value and a better deal, but that's not the type of company Nintendo is. They haven't been that company for years. And these culture warriors, they know it's far easier to get you angry at the Orange Man than it is to get you angry at Nintendo. Like I said, this is not a defense of the Orange Man because, tariffs aren't making this easier. But believe me, he is not the reason Nintendo is price gouging you on digital and physical games. I mean, he's also not the reason game prices everywhere else will go up. It's really telling when the one focus and the thing these guys are mad at is not the Nintendo game prices, but the fact that, a pre-order to the Switch 2 has been delayed, ignoring the fact that the problem is the price of games. Wow, my pre-orders are delayed. Absolutely insane. People are more focused on that than the fact that they will be paying more to play last-gen games on their brand new Switch. At least there's one person that did want to talk about, the game prices, and not even his take was very good. Let's take a look at that. I'm not an $80 defender at all, but some of y'all crashing out over Mario Kart World have purchased the digital deluxe / ultimate edition version of games just for some extra skins and a couple days early access. I don't know, maybe these companies have taken notice gamers are actually down to spend $100 on games. Vote with your wallet. I can see what Kofi's trying to say. But the problem here is we're talking about base game prices. Paying for extra content, in my opinion, it is a scam, but it is different than paying the price to a base game. People are paying $80 up to $90 for Mario Kart. People paid extra for extra content in these other titles, which also still have a cheaper base price than Mario Kart. I mean, I think what people are complaining about here, Kofi, is the base price of these games going up. There will always be special editions and collector's editions with extra content that these companies want to charge you an insane amount for, but some of them are still selling these games to you at $60 or $70, which is ridiculous, but not as ridiculous as $90 for a base game. I mean, Kofi is right about one thing though. Consumers going out and buying these expensive editions probably does give these companies incentive, but at the same time, we have to separate these two things so we don't come off as disingenuous. Indiana Jones can still be played and bought for its base price, or hell, you can play it on Game Pass like I did. $90 isn't what you have to pay by default. Well, then again, you're Canadian, so you pay more in general, but here in the States, the base price remains somewhat reasonable. I mean, if you play on PC, you can get way fucking better deals in general, but I don't want to turn this into another PC elitist video because I got a nasty habit of doing that, but I can't help but tell people PC is the way to go if you want to save money on software. Nintendo has basically skipped that extra step of giving you extra content for $80 and is just charging you $80 for the game. God knows how much it will be with DLC added if they plan on implementing any, which I'm sure they will. Kofi here isn't shilling for Nintendo, he's just trying to make a good point, but I think it was lost on him. And telling people they're having a crash out is not the way to go about it. It's perfectly reasonable to not be okay with these prices. Most people should be having this attitude. Most people should be a lot more vocal. Hell, video games should be back to $50, not even $60. That's my opinion. But that's just because as a PC gamer, I have seen games that go from being $60 on console for years to one day being like 14 to 20 bucks on Steam. or cheaper on CD keys. When you buy games far cheaper like I do, you have a better understanding of what the game's actual price is, and know that most of the time when these games are being sold to you, you're just paying extra for earlier access. On top of that, knowing that I don't own what I'm actually buying when it comes to digital products, I'm a lot less willing to hand over $80 to $70. Why would I pay that much for something that could quite possibly disappear if the servers at Valve go down one day? Do not let these companies sell you these products at this price if you don't actually own them. End of discussion. The benefits to console gaming is that you can own the media. Do not let them take that away from you. And also, hold Nintendo accountable. It's quite simple. Anyways, like, comment, share, and subscribe. I really appreciate the amount of support and the huge spike in subscriber count I've been getting. It's overwhelming. It motivates me, makes me want to upload more. So, you want to give me more subs, you'll get more content. I'll see you next video.
Fritango sucks ass.